Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Kaisa Karttunen and I work for the Mitigation of Climate Change in Agriculture program here at FAO. In my presentation, I will give a short introduction to today's theme that focuses on the future perspectives of food security, nutrition and climate change. In my presentation, I will briefly tackle 5 topics, from identifying the climate change challenge to suggesting some solutions. The expert presentations of today will show that climate change adds on the challenge of ensuring food security and nutrition for all. We all agree and understand that food security consists of 4 dimensions: availability of food, access to food, food utilization, and stability of the supply. Climate variability and long-term changes are likely to have serious impacts on all 5 dimensions of food security by altering the conditions of agriculture, forestry and fisheries production and rural livelihoods. In today's presentations, we want also emphasize that the concern about future food security should include also nutritional aspects. We also recognize the close linkages, as the status of people's food security and nutrition will also affect their capacities to respond to climate change and adapt their lives and livelihoods. Many of the possible changes in the food systems will in the end affect people's access to nutritious food. Deteriorating production possibilities and damages in infrastructure may lead to reduced and fluctuating supply of food. Moreover, losses in livelihoods and employment opportunities will affect people's capacities to produce and purchase food. Some new food safety hazards may emerge that can also threaten the quality and safety of food as well as food utilization. Many of the impacts are intertwined, and that is why it is necessary to analyze the situation at the systems level, rather than only from one perspective. As the impacts of climate change on availability of food differ in time and scale, also the responses need to be different and tailor-made for each situation. Immediate risks and losses caused by extreme weather events need preparedness building and risk management, as well as focusing on immediate resilience building. On the other hand, adjustment to longer-term trend-like changes calls for change management. For example, longer-term adaptation and resilience building of the agricultural systems and food systems. The solutions need to be adjusted to local agroecological and socio-economic conditions. It is also recognized that unless we are able to address the root causes of climate change, in the long term, no adaptation measures are adequate, or they become extremely costly. Addressing the root causes of climate change means that the human-induced greenhouse gas emissions to the atmosphere must be reduced, so that the temperature increase will not exceed the critical 2 degrees Celsius threshold. Every country has a different greenhouse gas emission profile. For instance, in terms of sectors with highest emissions, they can be either transport sector, energy sector, agriculture sector, or deforestation or construction. And also, the countries differ in terms of total emissions and emissions per capita. This is why the countries have different options for reducing their emissions or ensuring that the emissions will not increase in the future. As mentioned earlier, agriculture is highly exposed to climate change, which will affect food availability and people's access to food. On the other hand, agriculture, forestry and other land use sectors are responsible for 22 to 24% of the total greenhouse gas emissions at the global level. In some countries, the proportion is much higher, while in others much lower. So, what are then the main sources of emissions in agriculture? We have carbon dioxide, which originates from decomposition of soil organic matter and plant litter. We have deforestation and forest degradation and burning of plant residues. The second greenhouse gas from agriculture is methane, which originates from livestock, from rice production and manure management. And the third one is nitrous oxide, which is usually attached to inorganic fertilizers and manure application to soils. Then, if we are looking at the systems, we can't forget the relationship between food demand and the greenhouse gas emissions. People's diets and consumption patterns shape the demand of food, which in turn will have an impact on the way natural resources are managed and how much greenhouse gases are released in the air. Higher demand for food will lead to continued growth in agriculture, which is expected to be an increasing source of greenhouse gas emissions. This will in turn add on the challenges for adaptation, resilience building and recovery after extreme events. If we adopt appropriate practices, the emission increases in agriculture can, however, be reduced without limiting productivity increases or compromising food security and nutrition. And considering the demand side, when consumers buy a wider variety of products, this has an impact on what producers produce. Diversity makes the whole food system more resilient and increases the adaptive capacity. Diversity can be seen at the farm level or landscape level, for example, combining aquaculture, trees, crops, livestock and off-farm livelihoods. Diversity is also important from the nutrition perspective. Sustainable consumption and reduced food losses and waste can also reduce emissions from the food systems. Favoring vegetables, legumes and fruits can have a positive impact on the environmental footprint of the system. Today's and tomorrow's agriculture and food systems need to meet many expectations. Reducing the environmental impact is essential while ensuring that the system will be capable of producing also under changing climatic conditions. Considering that hundreds of millions of smallholders are dependent on agriculture, also the income and productivity aspects are extremely important. And as was said before, consumers' choices will direct agricultural production and food systems. In the future, we need more and more climate-smart practices that will meet the different expectations and that will be tailor-made for each location. Let me end by mentioning some examples of practices that can be considered climate-smart in many contexts. Planting trees on farms, avoiding deforestation and forest degradation, sustainable crop and grazing land management, improved livestock and manure management, soil and water conservation, sustainable water management, as well as improved agriculture input use efficiency. Thank you very much for your attention.